Hello everyone, welcome to Naomi's Bookshelf. Welcome to October's round of TBR Clue. So in TBR Clue, I assign prompts to rooms, and then I have to read for those rooms. However, I have felt a lot of stress lately, so there are some changes happening this month. So the first change that's going to happen is it's no longer going to be a punishment system because I am just too overwhelmed with the amount of prioritizing those reading plus other book club books and readathon books. I'm not going to have a punishment system if I do not get these 9 rooms all correctly guessed, or whatever you want to call it. So we will be doing it differently. So if I don't guess the cards correct, no change to my game or my month's reading, everything stays as normal. However, if I guess the information correctly, then I am able to have a benefit from this wheel that I have created, and it has a bunch of nice reading prompts for me, prompts that are going to be beneficial to me every single month. So this will be a very helpful thing. If I guess it correctly, then I get to spin, and whatever prompt I land on can replace one of my 9 that I pull for the board. So I still have 9 prompts, but one of them will be a very nice prompt to myself. So I think this is going to work for now for me. Especially since this month I did not finish all 9 rooms, and I need to film this now on the 25th. Another interesting thing that's going to happen going forward is I am not going to name any more than 15 books in a TBR video. And anyone who's new here, you might think that's a lot. I tend to read about 20 to 25 books a month without pressuring myself. So to have only a 15-minute or 15 book limit on my TBR is going to really help me hone in on what I really need to read and really want to read, but also take off the stress of having a 30 book plus TBR that I feel like I must complete in a month because I said so. So I have a list in my bullet journal where I have all of my books that are required reading, buddy reads, book club books, anything like that is going to be a definite required read, and is on this list of 15 books. I've already filled it up to 9, so I need to have some of these on my TBR Clue to make it work. And that's going to be just how I'm going to do it going forward. Anything over the 15 books is bonus and fun. So for this month of October, I would like to read these 4 books because one of them is the group book. However, the other 2, these 2 are my really only priority ones, and the other 2 are bonus. I'm not sure I'm going to read like Dracula, but I do want to reread it, and so this is why I thought this would be a good month. And The Mayor of Casterbridge, this one is completely not on my priority list. It's not on my 15, so if I get to it, great, and if I don't, that's fine too. So that's kind of how I'm taking the pressure off of myself. I hope that makes sense. So let's get into the cards and what I revealed, and if I get to guess with the full information or not. So in the haul, I had to read a book that I recently hauled, and I read Norse mythology. For a book that matches my outfit, I ended up going with Who Was William Shakespeare. This one, he's wearing black, so I kind of made it work for my black and white polka dot top last time. For a YA book, I read One of Us is Lying. For a one-word title, I failed. And I have not been able to read Torn, and I am in the middle, or just started, Eleanor. I don't think I'm going to get any farther in that one. It's an arc that I have, and I don't know if I'm DNFing it or not. But if I do DNF it, then it's definitely a fail, because that still has not changed with my rules, and so I'm not going to reveal these cards. For a holiday book, I did read The Christmas Murder Game, and then for a book club book, I read The Franchise Affair. For a relationship title, I realized I had The Magician's Nephew on my TBR. So nephew is a relationship word. It's going in there, and I did read that. For an audiobook vet, I have owned the Focus on the Family radio dramas of Narnia for a little while now, I'd say 6 months, and they're in CDs, so they're not going to be read anytime soon. So I popped them in, and I'm counting that for a vet. I didn't just receive it, even though it's kind of a little stretch. Anyways, my last one was a POC, and I read Soul Lanterns. So I have only 1 room that I have not revealed, so I'm going to take a random guess this month. So according to what we have left, it's either, well, first of all, it is Professor Plum, but it is either the wrench or the lead pipe, and it is also potentially the library or the study. So one of those 2. So I'm going to go with Professor Plum in the study with the wrench. So if I get any part of it wrong, I don't get my bonus this month. Okay, so I got the right weapon. That's good. Professor Plum and the library. So I do not win this time, and I will not get my bonus nice prompt, which is not the worst thing in the world. So it's not a 10th book, and that's why it's been changed. So let's do our author draw poll to see what that is this month. I will still try to do these authors, and they are added to my list of 15. So hopefully I get some good ones for October. I'm really hoping Thomas Hardy comes out because that'd be great. Kenneth Graham, which I've already read. That was, sorry, I'll just show you for sure. That was The Wind in the Willows, which I read. So yeah, I'm also it'd be nice to get Bram Stoker for Dracula. That would be nice. Francis Burney. I'm gonna put this one back. I'm gonna make a preemptive decision because it's big and I already have a lot of pressure, big books I want to read for October. So Alexander Dumas, I've already read another book of his. Let's go that one. Evelyn Waugh, which is Brideshead Revisited. I will try that one this month. That might change it up from the Victorian literature. Then one more is Joseph Conrad. I have Victorian authors in here. Like right here, I see Charles Dickens. Like there are some in there, just not this month for me. Okay, I'll grab the 2 books and then we'll be checking out what we need to do. So I found one of them. The other one must be in my pile of books that I need to put away. Anyways, I have already pulled Evelyn Waugh out before. That one is a Brideshead Revisited, which is about a man who visits his friend and like the county of Brideshead, I believe. It's going to be interesting to read that one. And I think I'm pronouncing it right when I say Evelyn Waugh, because it's not a woman. He's a man. So the other one I have here is The Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad. I don't know much about Joseph Conrad's work. I just know he's a famous author, I think, for The Heart of Darkness. That might be his key book. Anyways, this one says London, 1886. Adolf Verloc, store owner by day and secret agent by night, has been assigned the task of destroying the Greenwich Observatory. Behind his seemingly harmless exterior as a devoted husband and businessman lies dark secrets, private alliances, and dangerous motives. I wonder if he's Victorian, because then that will be on my October TBR. 1 second. No, he's Ukrainian as an author. That's fine. He was born in the Victorian era, but not Victorian. That's perfectly fine. So that will be a little different. And I now have another book for my Read Your Bookshelf challenge. The challenge is to read a book with the word secret in the title. And now I have another book. I have something else planned, but this one is now also an option for the secret word. So we're gonna now sort out these while I tell you about my buddy read plans. I have 4 buddy reads happening this month. I will be reading 2 of my October books with Emily from Novelle Novels. I will link everyone's channel down below who I'm talking about. So what I will be reading with her will be Treasure Island and The Woman in White. I will also be reading The Leopard, which is by Joan Nesbo. The Woman in White is by Wilkie Collins, and Treasure Island is by Robert Louis Stevenson. So I will be reading The Leopard with Nikki and Berna. This is our bi-monthly book club where we read together. So it's going to be exciting to read The Leopard because that fits perfectly in with my Buzzwordathon challenge because it's to read a book with an animal in the title. So thank you, Berna and Nikki. We did not plan that, but I appreciate it a lot because of my 15 book limit now. Anyways, so we're reading that one. And then I'm also reading with Chris from Chris's Corner. We'll be reading The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. So I have 4 buddy reads and I'm hoping to fit everything in nicely to this 15 book limit. So let's see how it goes this month. Prompt number 1. Give me something good. Oh, nice. Dr. Orchid or the color white. So for the haul, we got Dr. Orchid, if I can show you, and the color white. Now, I don't try to go for the color of the book, but I am going to go with something Mrs. White related, not Dr. Orchid, because I went into the wiki lore page that I always do, and the lore talked about how when Mrs. White was about to get married, she had an illicit affair and she had a son who she gave up and sent to an insane asylum. You might wonder, how does this relate? I am going to be putting in the group book for October in here because, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but at the same time, the mayor of Casterbridge, from what I understand, he sells his wife and daughter in a drunken state, and then 18 years later it comes back to haunt him, or they come back, something like that. I've never read a Thomas Hardy. I'm kind of apprehensive, to be perfectly honest, but he sends away his child just like Dr. or Mrs. White does. So I'm gonna put this in there. I don't know much about this. Like I said, I know that 18 years before the events of this book, he sells his wife and daughter into, for some reason, for when he's drunk. I don't know anything. And then I think they come back and it is a problem for him. So that's all I know. Like I said, first Thomas Hardy ever. I'm a little scared, but I'm hoping it'll be selling me on him. Number 2 is a cozy mystery. The next room was the lounge, and we got the cozy mystery. So the cozy mystery, this is not a cozy mystery. I'm gonna own up to that right now, but it is my Agatha Christie book of the month. So this is The Secret Adversary. This is the final book I need to read in the Tommy and Tuppence series. This is book 1 in their 5-book series. So I'm reading the first book last, but oh well. This will also fit for my Read Christie 2022 project, which is to read a book in multiple settings. And I think this one is where they jump around to different places. So I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure this one fits. So that will be for that prompt. And all I know is that Tommy and Tuppence go on a mystery or go on a secret identity spy thing. So it's not as cozy, but it's Agatha Christie, who's like the queen of cozy. So I might change it later in the month in case I feel like this really goes against that mold, but for now, this is it, and this was already on my list. This is really going to be a good one for the secret word in the title for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge and for the Read Christie 2022. Yeah, so I'm excited about this one. Number 3. More characters. Miss Scarlett, or The Color Red. For the next room, we got Miss Scarlett and The Color Red. Now, I'm gonna kind of go on a really stretch with this one. I'm sorry. So, according to the lore, Miss Scarlett was an actress, and she starred on Broadway stages with West Side Story. She, I think, tried for Ben-Hur and failed. So I'm gonna go with a book that has an adaptation, because I really need to put these books in, and that would be The Secret Agent. So this one apparently has an adaptation that was put out in 2016. I'm gonna try getting my hands on it to watch it as well. This one, like I said before, about a spy who's living everyday life. This one is also written like just after 1900, so it's kind of like a just modern classic instead of Victorian classic. So this one should be interesting, and I'm really intrigued after reading the synopsis. This will also work for Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. So yeah, excited about that. The kitchen. Oh, we'll take this one. A country. For the next one, I got country. Now, I did a random, like a wheel thing, which I forgot to record, but I took a screenshot of the result, which was Ireland. And I was like, how perfect for Victober. Because like Ireland fits for the countries that it's part of. So I already had this on my TBR as well. I was like, this is amazing. A perfect October month for me. But I'm going to be reading poetry of Oscar Wilde. So this is the plays of Oscar Wilde, but I'm going to be reading poetry. This one is something I had already planned to do. I was trying to figure out poets I would try to read for the poetry prompt, and Oscar Wilde fit the bill. So I'm going to be reading poetry for Oscar Wilde, or of Oscar Wilde, for October and for TBR Clue, which is really great to have an Irish Victorian author on my list. The ballroom is the study of the room, or the room, the study. The next one we got was the study. So that's the room of the study, anything we do in there. So I'm gonna go with one of my buddy reads, which is The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. This one is about a woman who was a war historian, and she was going to school for it like a student, but then the war broke out in Nazi Germany, and she is required to drop that and become a sniper. So this one, if I understand right, Mila is her name. She is sent to join the fight, and she becomes known as Lady Death. So she is a student, but then she also has to drop those studies and study to become a war, well, not a war, I was gonna say war criminal, not war criminal, but she studies to become a perfect sniper and also soldier during World War II. So sounds fascinating, and I think it works for study as she has to change her course of study midway through her life. The conservatory is the ballroom. For the ballroom, I'm going to be putting in Eva Lenoir's Brideshead Revisited. So this one, I can't believe I don't know where my copy is, honestly. I have a copy. Anyways, I cannot find it. I've scoured my book pile. But in this one, it follows a man who goes back to his friend's house, which they have a mansion. And it said that this book really examines the aristocracy and all of that, like in the new 1900s. So I think it's going to be something that could fit the ballroom, as they would probably have lots of balls and attend those kind of events. Also, while having a mansion, that kind of works. So we're going to go with Brideshead Revisited for this prompt. The billiards room is out of my comfort zone. For out of your comfort zone, or out of my comfort zone, I am going to be picking up one that I wanted to read, but it is out of my comfort zone in a way because it's vampires, which is Dracula. I'm really happy to get this one on here. This is one that I read years ago, like 10 years ago, hated it with everything in me. And I am like, I wonder if I will like it more now that I've read more Victorian classics and read more of this genre, not this like sci-fi fantasy genre, but more of this era, and also having a bit more understanding of their mindsets around the book, like cultural mindset. So I am excited to give this one another shot, and hopefully I like it better, but I don't know if I will. However, this is out of my comfort zone as it has vampires, and I do not read vampire books. So yeah, that's that one. The library, a seasonal book. The next one is a seasonal book, seasonal read. I am going to be reading for this one, The Woman in White. So this one is the first detective novel, I think it is, but it was very good. It's a reread for me, and I'm excited to read it again and see how it goes. But this one is definitely like fall mystery, autumnal vibes. Like, look at the trees, they aren't having any leaves on them. So it's very much kind of getting into that cold and spooky season kind of book. So this will work for a seasonal read for October and prepping up to Halloween. And the study, this one, diverse. For the last one, we get diverse. So this is something that's just anyone, like there's diversity in the cast of characters or by the author, something along those lines. And I'm gonna go something really simple because the prompt for October of chronic illness or disability, I'm gonna be putting in Treasure Island for that prompt as well, because this one has a character with one leg, so an amputee. So yeah, I've never read Treasure Island, but I have watched the Muppets play of it, or movie of it, and I'd like to watch an actual like real interpretation of this, but this is really going to be a fun one to read. I'm really excited to read Treasure Island and have pirates, because I do have a pirate arc that is on my 15 books to read this month. So I'm hoping that it will be really interesting to tie it in, reading a pirate fiction with a pirate nonfiction. So I think it's gonna be a fun time. So the last couple books that we will go over will first of all be Victober, what they are for which prompt, and then I'll go over the last few books I need to read. So for Victober with a chronic illness or disability, I said I'm going to be reading Treasure Island for that one. For a coming of age story, what did I pick? I think I'm going with this one as well, because this is a coming of age story. I am hoping to get onto this TBR though and hoping to read it. David Copperfield. This one I tried to read before. I just didn't have enough time and effort to put in. So I think this would be a great one. This is a coming of age story as well. This is not a guarantee, but this is one of my hopefuls for the month. And since I don't have 15 books on my list yet, this one can go on my list of 15. For a read and watch one, I'm gonna do Dracula for this one actually, because I have never watched Dracula. I've read this one, but I've never watched it, and so I'm excited to read it and then watch it. I have a few others, like I can watch Treasure Island as well, but this one I'm excited to have as my read and watch. For the short story, I'm going to be reading some Sherlock Holmes. I am not putting this on my list because it's going to be really easy to complete and it's not going to be much of a time pressure on me. So Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to be reading some short stories that were published in the Victorian era, as some of them were published after. but I'm gonna go for this one for that easy prompt. And then, like I said, I will be reading this one for poetry. Well, Oscar Wilde for poetry. So that's exciting for me. I've only read plays and Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. So it's going to be fun to change it up and read some of his poetry as well. The last thing that I will be definitely reading is my black cover for the Read Your Bookshelf challenge, or not Read Your Bookshelf, for the Covered Book Club. So this one has black on the cover, aside from her beautiful white dress. I just love this cover, but it has a bunch of black. So that's that one. And then, like I said, The Leopard, which is by, I was gonna say Harry Hole. No, by Joan Nesbo, which is my animal word title for Buzzwordathon. So before we go, I would also like to talk about all the arcs that I plan on reading. This is part of my 15 books that I have set out for myself. So they're on my top priority list. So first of all, I have Super Spy, which is analyzing the science and technology in James Bond. This was by Catherine Harkup. Very excited for this one. I have enjoyed all of her books that I've read so far. I still need to read Frankenstein, but I've enjoyed all of the ones I've read so far. Then The Pirate's Wife. This one is by a really long author, long last name author, but I'm excited to read this one. And I mentioned it kind of with Treasure Island. This one is about the wife of Captain Kidd, so Sarah Kidd, and her biography, essentially. Very excited. I also have Tut's Trumpet, and I don't remember who the author is. I'll put the picture up here, but it's examining ancient Egypt life through like 30 objects from King Tut's tomb. So that sounds really cool. And then I also have a picture book, not really middle grade, but picture book for nonfiction, which is called Ocean's World. And this one is about the ocean life and all the different things in there. So it's coming out at the end of October, and I'd like to review it right before. So those are my few arcs that I have on top of these books, but still a very achievable list. So overall, it's a really small TBR, and I'm really happy with what I've picked out. All of them are books I want to read, and actually I'm excited to read with others. I'm just by myself. So this is going to be a really great month, I think, and I'm really looking forward to it. So please let me know down below what you will be reading for Victober, or if you've ever put this kind of limit on yourself. Please let me know what you think of these books, and I'm excited to hear from you down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.